Gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness, January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special prime-time hearing, Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She had said she'd heard that from somebody.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry?
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
The hearing room was quiet, but the tension was unmistakable. Cameras were fixed, microphones were live, and every word carried weight. What was expected to be another routine oversight session quickly turned into a moment that demanded national attention. Congressman Jim Jordan took the floor with a focus that signaled something different was coming. This was not a speech, and it was not political theater. It was a direct challenge to the credibility of one of the most publicized narratives surrounding January 6th. At the center of the confrontation stood Special Counsel Jack Smith. Within seconds, the questioning shifted from formal to fierce. Names were mentioned, claims were revisited, and long-standing assumptions were put under a harsh spotlight. The room felt less like a committee hearing and more like a courtroom cross-examination. Every pause seemed deliberate, every follow-up sharper than the last. Viewers could sense that this exchange was heading somewhere uncomfortable. What unfolded next would reopen one of the most controversial testimonies in recent political history. Allegations once treated as fact were suddenly under scrutiny. The credibility of a star witness was no longer assumed, it was questioned openly. And as the exchange escalated, it became clear this was a moment that would not be easily forgotten.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness, January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special prime-time hearing, Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She had said she'd heard that from somebody.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry?
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
As I sit here right now, I do not.
Yeah, he said it didn't happen. How about Bobby Engel? You familiar with that name?
Yes, I am.
Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day. You know what he said? He said it didn't happen. And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Ms. Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
We conducted, as I said before, our own independent investigation of all aspects of the case that we thought was relevant. Attorneys from my office.
Did you ever confirm it? That's a simple question.
Well, we interviewed her, I should say, attorneys in my office before.
Did you ever confirm the president leaping across the seat, grabbing the steering wheel, this whole concoction she brought up in the January 6th hearing? Did you ever confirm that?
Right. We interviewed another firsthand witness who was in the car, who did not confirm that
Okay.
had happened, but also
In your deposition
stated
to the
that-
committee last month, Mr. Smith, you said this: "My recollection with Ms. Hutchinson was a number of the things that she gave evidence on were secondhand hearsay." You remember making that statement to us last month in the deposition?
I did, and I was referring particularly to what we're talking about now.
Yeah, and you also said Ms. Hutchinson, regarding this particular claim, was a second or even third-hand witness. We asked you, if you were a defense attorney, how would you handle cross-examining her if she was on the witness stand? And you said, if I were a defense attorney and Ms. Hutchinson were a witness, the first thing I would do was seek to preclude her testimony because it was hearsay. You remember saying all that?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
That's correct, right? Were you going to put her on the witness stand if you ever got to trial?
We had not made final determinations as to who we were going to call as a witness. We had a
You were
large,
still considering her?
we had a large choice of witnesses in this
Are
case.
you familiar what Washington Post reporters Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis said in their book? They did this book, 300-some pages book on Chronicle and the whole investigation at the Justice Department. And here's what they said on page 310. They said, Jack Smith had wondered whether some of Hutchinson's claims might be relied upon at trial. Still, at one point, Smith told the elections team he wasn't ready to give up on Hutchinson's account. Ultimately, however, Trump administration officials uniformly, fiercely disputed her accounts under oath. Prosecutors on your team told Smith they wouldn't want to use Hutchinson as a witness in court, and Smith agreed. Are Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis, who wrote this, are they lying?
My recollection is that I certainly had not made any final determinations about who we were going to call.
And that's the point. That is the point. The fact that they used her in a primetime hearing and you won't rule out using her, or didn't rule out using her, putting her on the witness stand when everybody knows she wasn't telling the truth, that says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go to get President Trump, putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up. Everybody knows that. And you were willing to do. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth, and you were still considering putting her on the witness stand because you had to get President Trump. And everybody can see that. We better take a...
In the end, Jim Jordan accomplished what oversight is meant to do. He forced clarity where there had been confusion and accountability where there had been avoidance. His questioning was not loud for the sake of noise. It was precise, methodical, and anchored in facts already on the record. By returning again and again to first-hand testimony, Jordan exposed the weakness of narratives built on hearsay. He reminded everyone watching that credibility is not established by repetition or primetime television, but by verification and consistency. When Jack Smith acknowledged doubts that had already been documented, it confirmed that Jordan's concerns were neither reckless nor unfounded. This exchange showed a lawmaker unwilling to accept convenient answers simply because they serve a political goal. Jordan did not accuse without basis. He cited names, sworn statements, depositions, and even media reporting. That approach resonated with viewers who value transparency over spectacle. The hearing made clear that oversight is not about protecting institutions from criticism, but about protecting the truth from distortion. Jim Jordan demonstrated that tough questions are not attacks on justice, they are a defense of it. By refusing to let contradictions slide, he reinforced the principle that no investigation should be immune from scrutiny. This moment underscored why congressional oversight exists in the first place. For many Americans, Jordan's performance restored confidence that someone was willing to challenge power directly, and as the hearing concluded, it was clear that his questions would linger far longer than the answers offered.